Before this video starts, I'd just like to make an announcement. I have the Liberal Tears mug for $14.99 on my website. It is the first link in the description if you want to go pick one up. Don't worry if it breaks when it comes to your house. I'll send you another one for free out of my pocket. I don't care. I want you to get your Liberal Tear mug. It comes in Liberal Tears white with the face, black with the face, white without the face, and black without the face. So pick whichever one you want, and it'll come to your door in about 3 to 5 days. So that should be epic. First link in the description. Thank you. Let's go on with the video.
As we last left it, there are some serious questions based on the emails about here you have some of the most vulnerable secrets in all of the State Department, all of the United States. People who put their lives on the line for this country, and this data evidently is unencrypted without dual authentication, and it begs a lot of questions. Mr. Cooper, you told the FBI evidently that you helped to set up Hillary Clinton's, Secretary Clinton's New York and D.C. residences with an iMac, correct?
That is correct.
So did you set them up, or did you set them up with somebody else?
Those were out-of-the-box solutions that were set up prior to her.
Sorry, you got to move it a little closer. It's just we're having a hard
Those were out-of-the-box solutions that were set up prior to her becoming Secretary of State.
And where did you set them up?
They were set up in the offices that she used in each of her homes.
Did that include the SCIF?
At the time they were set up, those rooms were not used as SCIFs.
Did you ever have to service any of those computers or work on any of those computers?
Over periods of time, I did service and work on those computers.
You did or did not?
Did work on those computers.
Including the one in the SCIF?
I don't recall any specific time that I worked on it once they were in the SCIFs.
So, well, how many did you set up at her home?
There was a computer in her office in each of her homes. I worked on their homes for a period of 15 years. And certainly when they were originally set up, they were set up primarily for the use of staff in her homes. And I would use those computers from time to time to print documents. Once they became SCIFs, I don't recall specifically using those computers.
Or servicing of those?
No.
Did you have a security clearance at that time?
No, I did not have a security clearance.
After you left the White House when did you leave the White House?
2001.
2001. Did you ever have a security clearance at any level after that?
No, I did not have a security clearance.
When you had full access to the whole server the entire time that you were working for the Clintons?
Yes, I had access to the server.
And you have no security clearance?
I have no security clearance.
You told the FBI that Uma Abedin recommended in the fall of 2008 that you contact Brian Pagliano to build the new server system. Is that correct?
I spoke with Mr. Pagliano at Ms. Abedin's request in fall 2008. We had an existing server system for President Clinton's staff located in the Clintons' residence. I spoke to Mr. Pagliano as that system had its limitations and we were thinking about expanding it. He had some opportunities using surplus equipment from the Clinton campaign that we could use for President Clinton's office to set up.
Sorry, we got to still move that microphone. Just straighten it out and put it right up under. There you go. A little closer. What conversations did you have with Uma Abedin about the setting up of the server?
I don't recall any specific conversations with her about the setting up of the server.
What about setting up emails?
At some point I had a conversation with her about setting up an email for Secretary Clinton on the servers.
What about setting up an email for Uma Abedin on that server?
As well, I had a conversation about setting up an email address for Uma Abedin.
And did you set up an email for Uma Abedin?
Yes.
And did she use that email?
As far as I know, yes.
What other staff used the Clinton email?
The other staff were all staff members of President Clinton's office.
So,
not on the Clinton email domain. On the
ClintonEmail.com to be specific.
There are no other staff that I recall using that.
So who had an email address at ClintonEmail.com.
The additional person that had an email address there was Chelsea Clinton.
So did you have one?
No.
So you, Abedin, and Secretary Clinton had email addresses there?
I did not have an email address on Clinton.
Sorry. Okay. So, Hillary Clinton, Abedin, and Chelsea Clinton each had addresses at that address.
Correct.
What other computers did you set up in their residence? How many computers did you set up?
The only computers I set in the residence were the 2 iMacs, which you have previously mentioned, and the initial Apple server, which came in with support from Apple to set up that server in their household.
And did you set up anything in Washington, D.C. at a residence there?
As mentioned, that one of the 2 iMacs, which you referred to, was in Washington, D.C.
So the other one was in Chappaqua, New York?
Correct.
Okay, so there's a total of 2 computers, one in Chappaqua. Why did you set up ClintonEmail.com?
Secretary Clinton was transitioning from presidential campaign and her Senate role and had been using primarily a BlackBerry for her email correspondence. There were limitations to her ability to use that BlackBerry, as well as a desire to change her email address because a number of people had received her email address over the course of those activities. So we created, with a discussion, I believe with Huma Abedin at the time, what domains might be of interest. We obtained a domain, and we added it to the original server used by President Clinton's office for her to use with her BlackBerry at the time. And we set that up in a way where the messages simply came into that server and bounced right to her BlackBerry and were not retained on that Apple server.
Who paid for these computers?
All of them were paid personally by the Clintons.
Personally?
Personally.
And who were you being compensated by?
I was being compensated by the Clintons.
Just personally, or the Clinton Executive Services, Clinton Foundation? What was?
At that time, I was employee of both the Clinton family personally and the Clinton Foundation.
Okay. All right. My time has expired. We now recognize the ranking member, Mr. Cummings.
Mr. Cooper, the FBI's investigative summary states that the Apple server you helped install on the home of President and Secretary Clinton in 2008 was originally purchased for the purpose of hosting email services for President Clinton's staff. To the best of your knowledge, is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
According to the FBI summary, the decision was made to keep that server in the Clinton residence. The reason was, and I quote, due to concern over ensuring email reliability and a desire to segregate email for President Clinton's various post-presidency endeavors, end of quote. According to the FBI, the decision was made in January 2009 to switch from the Apple server to a new server. The FBI investigative summary states that in 2009, quote, according to Cooper, in or around January 2009, the decision was made to move to another server because the Apple server was antiquated and users were experiencing problems with email delivery on their BlackBerry devices, end of quote. Is that accurate?
I would say that there's not a date certain that there was a decision made to switch from one server to the other. In my conversation with Mr. Pagliano, I was aware that the Apple server which we were using was not fully meeting our needs and was not expandable to meet potential future needs of other staff from President Clinton's office joining the server. It also did not have a robust solution to support BlackBerry usage. It's very hard for me to even remember what the technology around BlackBerry was then and how they functioned. There were more progressive ways to use a BlackBerry. Mr. Pagliano had the expertise to set up a server that had a proper BlackBerry interface with it, and that was something that was desired by President Clinton's team. And so over a period of time, as Brian decommissioned those servers from the campaign, we were able to purchase them from the campaign. He then took time to set them up on his time, either in the campaign offices or his home, I'm not sure the location, and then delivered them to Chappaqua, I believe in around March of 2009, when I physically helped him move them into the space where they were going to reside.
So Secretary Clinton began using that new server for email around March 2009. Is that accurate?
Her connection to that server, I believe, was in March 2009.
Now, Republicans have a conspiracy theory that Secretary Clinton used the server in her home for email in order to avoid complying with records laws. Representative DeSantis asked Director Comey directly about that theory. He asked, and I quote, "Was the reason she set up her own private server, in your judgment, because she wanted to shield communications from Congress and from the public?" Now, Ms. Cooper, here's what Director Comey said, and I quote, "I can't say that. Our best information is that she set it up as a matter of convenience. It was an already existing system that her husband had, and she decided to have a domain on that system." Now, do you have any evidence to dispute what the FBI Director, Mr. Comey, said?
No, I don't have any evidence to dispute that. I believe that Secretary Clinton had personal email on her BlackBerry and was looking for a new solution to be able to use personal email.
Now, were you ever told that Secretary Clinton used a server in her home to avoid the Federal Records Act?
No, I was never told that.
Were you ever told that Secretary Clinton used a server in her home to avoid the Freedom of Information Act?
No, I was never told that.
Now, Mr. Cooper, I think it would be helpful to walk through exactly what your role was and was not with regard to the production of Secretary Clinton's emails to the State Department and the FBI. Did you cooperate with the FBI investigation to the best of your ability?
Yes, I did.
Did you turn over to the FBI any relevant records that were in your possession?
Yes, I turned over records to the FBI.
In mid to late 2014, Secretary Clinton's attorneys attempted to collect all of Secretary Clinton's work-related files from her tenure at the State Department and turned them over to the State Department. Mr. Cooper, were you involved in that 2014 document production process?
No, I was not.
Now, did the FBI determine that none of Secretary Clinton's work-related emails were intentionally deleted in an effort to conceal them from investigators? Do you have any reason to dispute that finding?
I do not have any reason to dispute that.
Hello, everyone. Hey, I'm just stopping by to remind you that liberals are insane. Social justice warriors are becoming more violent and triggered than ever before. Anyways, be sure to subscribe to KGP TV on YouTube and have a blessed day. Yeah, man.
Before this video starts, I'd just like to make an announcement. I have the Liberal Tears mug for $14.99 on my website. It is the first link in the description if you want to go pick one up. Don't worry if it breaks when it comes to your house. I'll send you another one for free out of my pocket. I don't care. I want you to get your Liberal Tear mug. It comes in Liberal Tears white with the face, black.
Them up, or did you set them up with somebody else?
Those were out-of-the-box solutions that were set up prior to her.
Sorry, you got to move it a little closer. It's just we're having a hard
Those were out-of-the-box solutions that were set up prior to her becoming Secretary of State.
And where did you set them up? Here you have some of the most vulnerable secrets in all of the State Department, all of the United States. People who put their lives on the line for this country, and this data evidently is unencrypted without dual authentication. And it begs a lot of questions. Mr. Cooper.
With the face, white without the face, and black without the face. So pick whichever one you want, and it'll come to your door in about 3 to 5 days. So that should be epic. First link in the description. Thank you. Let's go on with the video.
As we last left it, there are some serious questions based on the emails about the, you told the FBI evidently that you helped to set up Hillary Clinton's, Secretary Clinton's New York and D.C. residences with an iMac, correct?
That is correct.
So did you set